Well, well, well. We're back with another episode of the pod with Hadyn Paszkiewicz. My guest today is a very good friend of mine, soon to be family member of mine, hopefully, maybe one day. Uh, that I've actually talked about having on the show since the beginning. We seem to always have really good conversations, and I figure you guys will really enjoy this episode. So, without further ado, I got my buddy Tristen right here, and we're gonna yap for about an hour and a half if you guys want to stick along. So, welcome to the show, Tristan.
Thanks, man.
I'm super happy to have you today. But how I like to do this is I like to start the episode off with a thought provoking question,
Okay.
which is something that we typically talk about anyways.
Yeah, sure.
Um, I don't know if you've been following all of this as of late, but we've pretty much confirmed that aliens are real.
Oh, dude, yeah. Wow.
So how are you feeling about that? Like, do you seem to believe it, or because there's really no there's no concrete footage yet.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of just like, yeah, we're testifying in front of Congress.
Yeah.
Take our word for it.
Yeah. Man, it's so weird because like now that the government is like coming out and saying it, it's like I don't believe you. Like I don't believe
Yeah.
like and the what you said about like how there's no like really good video footage. It's really weird because every video that you ever see like looks like it's filmed on a etch a sketch. Like
Yeah, it's
it's like why don't we have like solid like 4K video of this stuff? It's it's kind of weird that it's that way, but I want to believe it.
Oh yeah, I want to.
I want to believe because it's kind of cool. Like it's like whoa, like but it's also like it's a little scary. Like it's a little scary because it kind of it shatters a lot of like ideology and perspective that we have about the world as far as like this is a little controversial, but like
Go for
religion
it.
and stuff,
Yeah.
like that really like kind of shatters a lot of narrative, but maybe it doesn't. I don't know. It's because like whenever you look at like religious texts, there's a lot of like celestial figures that they talk about, like
Yeah, you can.
visiting and stuff. So it's really, I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see once more of the evidence comes
Yeah.
out.
So I'm glad that you brought it up that way
Uh-huh.
because there's multiple angles to look at it.
Yeah.
Because I've kind of fallen down the rabbit hole a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Not as much as some of my friends, but more than probably most. And so it's great that you brought up the religion aspect,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we do know that there are fallen angels that were put
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
where were they banished to? They were banished to like a pit, basically. And so there's some people that are saying that's what this is,
Mhm.
right? It's not aliens. It's spiritual beings,
Which
right?
which that's kind of where I want to lean to.
Yeah,
Like
of
I
course.
do want to lean that way just because of my religious, beliefs and stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's really like as far as you speak of with the fallen angels and stuff like that. It's
yeah.
um I don't know. I'm losing my thought here, but go ahead.
So yeah, and so I mean, and then the other angle you can go to is or not interdimensional, but interplanetary beings, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Extraterrestrial.
Extraterrestrial. and all that stuff.
Extraterrestrial,
Yeah,
yeah. But like you said, believing in Christianity and understanding the text, I wish I understood them more so I could yap about it a little
Me
bit
too.
more.
I mean, I'm
But
guilty of that.
just theology in place, it does look more like it's a fallen angel type of thing. Now, with that being said, there a lot of these are saying that it is they come from the water. And,
Yeah, dude.
and
Oh yeah.
you
Oh.
hold on one second.
Okay.
And you being ex-Navy, specifically submariner,
Mm-hmm.
was there anything that, I mean, surely you would talk about it regardless, but was there anything that y'all ever experienced that was weird?
Mm,
Because all of these, not to cut you off, all of these are saying a lot of them follow nuclear-powered submarines.
yeah. No, I've seen that. I actually watched that a lot of that podcast with the Louise guy or whatever, the one that testified
Yeah.
in Congress, the one that's part of the UAP
Mhm.
program, and he was talking about like massive vessels that are moving like 300 knots under the water and stuff.
Mhm.
Uh, I th- if memory serves me correct, I remember us like picking up like things kind of like that, but almost kind of writing it off as like maybe something's going wrong with our
Radar
systems
error.
and stuff. Well, no radar because submarine doesn't carry. I mean, we have radar, but
So
it's
what do you
useless
educate me?
because you have. I mean, you have. We primarily use sonar to navigate. I mean,
Mhm.
you're not going to use radar underwater. You're not. I mean, and plus radar's loud. It sends off like
Mhm.
loud signals, and so you're going to use. We have like our sonar sphere. Basically, it has like transducers in there. We can
Okay.
use active and passive sonar, mostly passive sonar because of again active is like incredibly loud and submarines are they're called the silent service. We're
Yeah.
we're literally like underwater spies.
Shouldn't be able to
So
find them.
yeah, no, if you know where we're at, like we're not doing our job right.
Yeah, that's bad.
So, but yeah, as far as like our like equipment and stuff, like I believe we've seen like things like that before, just kind of but kind of like chalked it up as like like maybe an error in our system, like oh like there's no way that this is doing that, or
Mhm.
because we're like reading sonar traces and you can kind of like pick up speed and stuff like that from them just based on our position and what you see from the sonar. But
Yeah, they're saying these things are moving at upwards of 1,000 to 3,000 Gs.
yeah, that's way crazy. And
Yeah. So with
go
that
ahead.
being said, not to cut you off,
No, go ahead.
um, it's leading some people to think that these are like what we're seeing, like the UAPs
Hmm.
are organic, right? Because if it was a ship,
Hmm.
for lack of a better
A
term,
vessel,
a
yeah,
vessel,
yeah,
it would kill what was ever in it.
yeah, yeah.
Because 9 Gs is pretty much the maximum of what organic life can sustain. But if it is a actual physical being, there's an angle that they said it could kind of.
It's interesting. I mean, because it's all based on our current understanding. Like
Absolutely.
what we know about science, what we know about life, what we know about physics. Um, you know, some of that stuff could, especially if we're talking about like if we're going to go more towards the spiritual side of it
Yeah,
too. It's just like, okay, well, these are spiritual like beings that are higher beings. Like of course they can do more than what we can. Of course,
absolutely.
so like what it's again, like I want to see more of what, and I want concrete evidence of this stuff.
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
then another thing, it's right around election time.
yeah, dude, it's like,
So
oh,
isn't it like not even to get political about it,
Mhm.
but isn't it convenient that they decide to unearth some stuff right around?
And it's like, okay, it's what blows my mind is that yeah, like you and I, we kind of have like a lot of similar interests. We follow a lot of like the
Mhm,
same things. We get caught up into some of the same rabbit holes.
absolutely.
Um, no one is paying attention to this.
Y-
It's like, dude, like,
But I think it's because we've become so desensitized to the
yeah,
crazy
yeah,
shit that has gone on.
yeah.
Okay, but to pivot away from that,
Okay.
because I guarantee we could sit here and talk for the entire hour
We
and a
good.
half.
We good.
Speaking of submarines,
Uh-huh.
I learned had to be a couple months ago now. There was actually a U-boat that made it all the way to the Gulf of Mexico,
Mhm.
just off the coast of Alabama, I
Yeah.
believe, and was sinking ships, um, like in the man. I can't tell you. I don't want to say a date because I don't want to be completely wrong, but it was like relatively recent. Maybe 70s, 80s,
Okay.
maybe even
Yeah.
60s. It's somewhere in that block. And no one talks about that. Like we
That's
act
actually
like
news to me, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can find out what the name of it what is, and then we'll talk about it after. But we talk about the only time American soil has been attacked is Pearl Harbor.
Mhm.
Dude, that motherfucker was in the Gulf.
Yeah.
And what's funny about it
I mean, yeah, it's
is we
our waters.
sunk it by accident, right? So
Hmm.
they were noticing and how they would what's weird about it is because it was I mean it's older technology, right? It's like
Yeah,
not as
U-boats are like World War II. Like
Yeah.
most of the world started getting like diesel submarine, like actual real, because U-boats aren't like, they're kind of like amphibious, not amphibious, but they
Mhm.
serve more on the surface.
Yeah, exactly. So
And they can only be submerged for a certain amount of time, I believe.
yeah.
Whereas like submarines, they can run, well, nuclear submarines can run like indefinitely underwater.
Yeah.
But go ahead to your,
So what it would do is it would like peek its little
yeah,
deal,
periscope. Yeah.
periscope, and like it would just look at these, tankers like we dock
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
day,
Uh-huh.
and they'd have all their running lights on. So they were like, "Oh, there's one right there. Poof, sink this."
Wow.
So
Huh.
it sunk multiple American ships, right?
Dang, I don't know
And
anything about this. This is
this is what
crazy.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Why
Yeah.
is that? Why are we not educated on
Yeah. I
that?
don't know anything about that.
But what's so funny about it, not funny, but ironic about it is these coasties,
Hmm.
one guy was like, "Dude, there's a fucking submarine. Like that's what's causing this."
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's wild.
because he saw the periscope,
Yeah.
right? And then
Uh-huh.
it like went down and they were like, "Whoa." You know,
Periscope. Yeah.
periscope, and so they were sending underwater charges,
Depth charges.
depth charges, and they by accident
Yeah.
sunk it, right? But they
S-
could they never
So this is Coast Guard vessels that were doing that,
yeah.
dropping depth. Okay.
Yeah,
Huh.
I believe. And but they're like, and it stopped happening,
Hmm.
right? So that there was like two angles that they were gonna say. They were like, okay, either we scared them away or you
Hmm.
killed them.
Yeah.
And the dude was like, no, I sunk that thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, have they like
in the
found the? Have
they
they
found
found it?
it.
Oh, they found it.
Yeah, it took him
Wow.
forever.
Okay.
So posthumously, he
Huh.
got an award
Yeah.
for defending American soil. But I
Yeah.
need to find the
That's
name of that.
crazy. That's wild.
Yeah,
I didn't know
see,
anything about that.
yeah.
Wow.
So, dude, the reason I bring that up is like, what else do you think they're like not telling us about?
Oh, so much. I mean, I mean, I feel like they only, which is completely like it's unconstitutional.
Absolutely.
For them to withhold information from us, like they're not. We're supposed to be in control of them. I think a lot of people forget that we're supposed to be in control of the government. It's
Yeah,
you
dude.
and I. Like we are the voice of who we elect,
We
or they're
created
supposed to be the voice
we
of who
created
elects
the
them.
the greatest country in the world off of a bullshit tax.
Oh yeah,
Dude, if you look into it, and I think I might have talked about this on a different podcast, but if you look into it, the tax on tea was something that wasn't even hurting people,
hmm,
but because we are Americans,
yeah,
we were like, fuck that.
yeah.
Like,
No, yeah,
and
yeah,
so they started the whole taxation without representation thing.
yeah.
But yeah, dude, like you said, I think it's crazy how much shit they hide from us. Which
All the time.
that's general knowledge. Like
Yeah,
you can look that up. I just happened to stumble upon that information.
yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's crazy how much is fucking hidden from us.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe even that specific story was probably released like later on,
I'm gonna
because
look
I
it
feel
up.
like that would be a lot more like talked about. People would know about that a little bit more of like, there was like a German U-boat. Well, I don't know if it was German, but typically
Hmm.
U-boats were German. A German U-boat like in U.S. waters, like sinking, you know, U.S. vessels. Like that's a clear
Yes,
attack. That's an act of war.
and yeah,
You know,
and not even war vessels. These are
yeah, merchant ships.
merchant
Yeah,
ships.
yeah. No, that's totally an act of war.
Yeah,
Um,
and no one.
and I no knowledge of it. No, but to
Dude, sunk 56 ships in the Gulf.
oh my god, that that's that's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It was called the U-166. And so I was way off. It was in 1942.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes a lot more sense. Okay.
But
Because
still,
I mean, that was the most tonnage of ships sank during like the World War II period.
mhm.
Yeah, no,
It was called the
that makes a lot of sense. I mean, merchant mariners were one of the highest. I could be wrong here, but merchant mariners were one of the highest death tolls in World War II
it was a
because of
U-boat too,
all the German U-boats that sank are merchant ships.
which is so
Um,
fucked up, bro.
yeah, yeah, no, it's insane. We lost uh we lost just speaking of submarines,
Mhm.
we lost 50 of the 52 like submarines that have ever like been lost at sea were lost in World War II. 50 of the 52. Yeah, a lot of lives were lost. Like a lot of lives were lost during like World War II. Like so, you never hear about it, but
Mhm.
submarine warfare was huge in
Yeah,
World War II.
there's a whole
It was so huge.
so there was a Russian submarine, I believe,
Hmm.
and thank God Russia runs their like um decision making process like this.
Hmm.
So I think they had a captain and like two generals on the submarine,
Hmm.
and they had come into contact with a U.S. Submarine, and for whatever reason, one of the guys. But okay, anyways, I'm rambling. You need all three to say yes
Yeah,
to actually attack.
yeah, hmm,
And how they did it. Two out of the three were like, "Fuck them,
yeah.
nuke nuke that
As far as
sub."
like the rules of engagement
Yeah,
on like the
and
U.S.
the one was
submarine.
like, "No."
Hmm.
And had that dude said yes, that probably would have been like nuclear warfare.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what
I
it would
wish I knew
sparked
the
off.
name, so I'm not just saying dude and stuff like this, but that's another story you can look up. Like that general effectively.
No, I mean, I have like friends. I know guys who are on submarines and stuff who like literally like heard like torpedo in the water, like because you hear it shoot. I mean, you totally hear them like a enemy
Mhm.
vessel like shoot a torpedo at you. It's super loud. I mean, it's pretty cool. Like on the submarine, like you're like doof, like it knocks you back.
Everyone in the
Oh yeah, yeah, you feel it. You feel it. Even when we shoot like even whenever we shoot just like our countermeasures,
mhm.
you feel like the whole vessel shakes. But no, like I know guys who like have been like deep in. Hopefully, I'm not giving anything away here as
Oh wait,
far
I
as like
mean,
secrecy.
yeah,
But I mean, it's a known thing that we spy on enemy countries and stuff.
of course
But
they do to us.
yeah, no, I know guys who've like literally heard that like in like deep in places that they're not supposed to be.
Oh,
So I
dude,
mean, it happens far more than we would ever know. Like we're like this close to like
and
being
that's so scary
on
to.
World War Three.
That's
Yeah,
so scary to
yeah,
think
and
about.
it's because we just gotta the U.S. just has to stroke its ego all over the. I mean, I
Mhm.
have a different perspective on war than I did like whenever I first joined.
Yeah,
Um, but
but you were probably like, "Oorah!" Like, let me
oh,
help.
dude,
Like,
yeah, I was like, I mean, I was 8 or 19. I was
mhm,
19 whenever I joined, and I was like, yeah, like I want to be a badass. I want to like
mhm.
do. I joined the Navy because I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. Of course, that didn't work out.
Did you try and go to Buds?
I never even got the chance because I had bad eyes. Yeah,
Ah,
like and that's like a whole story of how like my recruiter screwed me. Um, typical recruiter type
oh, you can be a
shenanigans,
SEAL.
like,
Yeah.
but he basically like he lied to me. He said that I could try out for. I knew I couldn't do like SEALs at this time, but he basically told me that I could like do I could try out for EOD. I was
Mhm.
gonna do EOD instead.
EOD's badass.
Yeah, and like I know some guys who were active in EOD, and
It's also one
he
of
was
the
like, dude,
highest death rates.
oh yeah, well, he was like, dude, we like the SEALs, like whenever there's not things going on and stuff, they're just kind of sitting on their ass. Like, EOD, we're like always doing stuff. Like we're literally always somewhere. And I was like, I mean, you're probably like a little bit biased. I think the SEALs are awesome, but
Yeah.
of course, my knowledge of what they really do is, of course, as limited as any civilian. You know,
Unless you're in it, you probably
yeah,
will
you probably
never.
don't know, but
Yeah.
I mean, but I'll take his word for it. I guess they work directly with those guys,
Yeah.
so. Uh, but he kind of sold me on it, and I was gonna try out, And whenever I got to boot camp, um, it was like a week or 2 weeks in. I was like, "Yo, when is this gonna
Yeah.
happen? When is this
Yeah.
gonna happen?" And like we like had like a little Q&A session with our RDC,
Mhm.
recruit division commander. It's just basically like your drill sergeant.
Yeah.
We call him something different in the Navy, the RDC, and he like we little Q&A, and he I asked him, I was like, hey, so my recruiter told me that I could try out for this, when is this going to happen? He was like, "You're an idiot." He was like, like verbatim. He said, "You're fucked. You're stupid. You got lied to." And I was like, "Oh."
Thanks,
I was like,
asshole.
"Oh
Yeah.
my god!" My heart just dropped into my stomach. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh god."
Because, like, I mean, most kids, I don't want to say most kids, but a lot of boys,
Mhm.
you see that in, especially from where we're from,
Mhm. Yeah.
there's kind of sort of like a hyper masculine thing. And, like,
Yeah.
if you have any sort of pride in your country, you've had some thought of trying to be a SEAL. So
Oh
I
yeah.
can only
Uh-huh.
imagine
Yeah.
you're there, you're in the shit of boot camp,
Yeah.
and they go, "You're fucking
Yeah,
stupid."
like, literally, he told me, "You're fucked." Like, that's
Dude,
what he
like, I
said. I was
almost
like,
get, like,
"Oh my god."
secondhand embarrassment for that. Like, that's so what it
Uh-huh.
like, how did you end up in submarines? Like, how'd that come about?
Well, dude, I was so dumb. Um, I still am a little dumb, but,
We all are, it's okay.
but, it was, I was at MEPS
Uh-huh.
and
That's like your, job school, right?
no, no, so MEPS is before you, enlist, before
Oh,
you go. So I was at the it's the military entrance processing system or something
okay.
like that. Um, station. I don't know. I forget the acronym. The military loves their acronyms.
Oh, dude, they have
Um,
so many little fucking
but I was at MEPS. I was in the detailer's office. The detailer is the guy who basically assigns jobs and
yeah.
stuff. And prints out the contracts, jobs that are available, and he gave me like three different submarine contracts, and then like one, I think it was like surface IT contract. Um,
So he finagled you too,
E
dude.
and I was like looking at it, I was like, "I don't wanna do any of this
Yeah. Fuck all of
shit."
these, honestly.
"Oh, this looks like it sucks."
Yeah.
And, my recruiter literally barges into the door, and he, like, 'cause I guess he just knew that I was up, and I did well on my ASVAB,
Mhm.
so he knew, and I think he had, like, done some service on submarines too. And he's, of course, a recruiter. He's going to do his due diligence to try to get people in undermanned jobs. And submarines is way undermanned.
Yeah.
Like if they can get anybody to sign up for because we're the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah, that's what I
Uh,
was gonna say. I don't think I've ever met someone and they go, "I wanna work on submarines."
I didn't.
Yeah,
Like,
you know?
I didn't, but I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, dude, you got the contract itself was called like submarine electronics computer field,
Mhm.
and uh, SECF. I
I was
remember
gonna
that.
say probably SUCF.
SECF. And he was like, "Oh, dude, you got SECF. Like, that's awesome. Like, you should really pick that one. That one's great." And I was like, I mean,
Okay.
okay. Like,
Yeah.
okay. Like, little did I know that, and I thought, oh, so let's rewind just a little bit. Whenever I was looking at those contracts, I was like, I asked the detailer, I was like, "Is this all you have? Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to do any of this." Like, I told him that. I was like, "I
Yeah.
don't really want to do any of this." And he was like, "That's all I got. That's all I got." Little did I know that you could. So anybody who wants who's ever thought about enlisting or still wants to enlist,
Yeah.
do not let the detailer fool you. That job market literally refreshes every second, every second. So you could walk out of the office and be like, "No, just like no, like I'm gonna walk out and come back in like later.
Mhm.
Let the next person come in, and you could pick a total like all that shit that you just looked at could be gone, and there's just a whole nother
A
like
new
set,
scroll.
a
Yeah.
whole nother list of jobs that you could do.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. Like someone told me that like several months into my service, they were like, "Dude, you could have
What?
done that." And I'm like, "Bro, why was I so like
Yeah.
I was so just not ready for this." Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had I guess to my defense, I didn't really care what I picked because
Yeah.
because the way that the special forces contracts work, you
Mhm.
have to earn them. You basically like get put on a national draft board
Mhm.
after you take like all these different tests and stuff, like physical tests included, and then they basically select from like a national draft board.
Interesting.
So you
Interesting.
have to you have to earn that contract.
For SEALs.
Yeah, for SEALs, for EOD, for Navy, all for Navy diver rather.
Mhm.
SWIC, all that stuff.
What's SWIC?
SWIC is like basically like a step down from SILs. Um, uh, I guess a lot of the special forces guys or special warfare guys kind of joke and call SWIC the SEALs taxi service. But if you've ever seen the movies of like the guys like flying in on like these boats that have like big 50 cals on there
Yeah.
and shit, that's SWIC. Those are SWIC
I
guys.
think that's just as
That's
badass.
that. They're pretty sweet. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're pretty sweet.
See, that's crazy that you just said that because that's very eye-opening to me. I read both of David Goggins' books,
Hmm.
and in one of them, I think it's the second one, is when he was talking about getting into SEALs.
Hmm.
Or it might have been the first. Anyways,
I think
he
it was the first one. Yeah.
he made it seem like anyone can just, like, if you're enlisted, can just go, I want to try out.
That's how it used to be. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure that's how it used to be.
yeah, like he said, it didn't matter if you were Army, Navy, whatever.
Hmm.
If you want to go try and be a SEAL, you can try.
And you have to take the time period into consideration too of whenever he was doing that. You
Yeah.
know, we were in like the heat, like the pinnacle of like the Iraq War.
Oh,
And
dude,
stuff,
yeah,
and,
he
you know,
was
all
he
that.
was his Buds
Uh,
class that he graduated from, was with Chris Kyle's brother.
yeah. So like post 9/11, like
Yeah,
they were on fire to get people
gung
in there.
ho,
Yeah.
fucking hoorah.
So they wanted to get those guys in there.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean,
So
I could have considered that.
So they probably like they probably have like some executive actions that they can take to
Mhm.
be like, and we're gonna skip this process of like finding guys who or just filtering out guys
Yeah,
just through like contract earning and stuff.
of course.
So yeah, I mean, but the rules of that have definitely changed. Like if you don't have a contract, you're not getting it. You can once you're in, you can, and I'll say this and just be done about talking about the military
Yeah.
if you want to be done with it. But you can like put in a request
Hmm.
once you're like graduated from your school, you're at your command, you're at your permanent duty station.
Hmm.
Um, you can put in a request to go to like spec war school,
Yeah.
any sort of special warfare program, but of course your command has to prove it. And submarine, they got tight grip on your balls. They ain't
They
letting you
won't
go
let you go.
nowhere. They ain't gonna let you go nowhere,
I
dude.
feel like like, no matter what job you are, I feel like they have a tight grip on you.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I mean, and I have no military experience, so I can't really speak, but I do have a good amount of friends
Hmm.
that are.
It depends on the job. Like, there's definitely overmanned positions where they're
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, go ahead, get out of
Yeah.
here, you know,
Shoo.
be gone."
Yeah, we
Yeah,
don't
go
want to.
kick
We don't want to
rocks,
worry
dude.
about you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's pivot a little bit
Okay.
from
Yeah,
the military stuff because we might have already ran some people off.
yeah.
But
Sorry.
no, dude, I'm interested. I don't give a
Okay. Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
So is there anything you're currently working on at the moment, like honing a sort of skill or anything?
Man, I will say that pretty much all of my attention this year has gone towards this election. Like I've been just reading so much like politics stuff. I've been focused mainly on that, and then plus like with testing coming up for that. Like
Yeah.
a lot of my focus and energy has gone towards that. Uh, Now, once I like finish all that stuff, and get my license and everything,
Yeah.
um, not to talk about work too much. I won't talk about
No,
work
I
too
mean, it don't matter. We can talk
But-
about anything.
Okay, but um, have you? I'm sure you're familiar with Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, of course.
Did you see that he's like officially launched the Peterson Academy?
No.
Have you heard of like the Peterson Academy?
No, educate me.
Okay, so it's basically like, and I'm a nerd. I love learning. I love taking
Oh,
classes
dude,
and stuff.
my goal is to be a jacked nerd. That's
Okay, sweet. So
Yeah.
this is for you. It's it's basically like a university accredited like classes
Mhm.
from like world class lecturers.
Yeah.
From
Keep
like
talking.
someone like Jordan Peterson himself, who's I love Jordan Peterson. I think he's an incredible lecturer. I like listening to him. I think
Yeah, he's a man's man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of
But
course.
but he also has great logic. Like
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
not like
super logical.
yeah.
Yeah. And so he launched Peterson Academy, and Peterson Academy is super affordable. You can basically take all these online classes with these world class lecturers
Hmm.
for a fraction of the price of what you would pay at like a university. He said that you can basically get like an accredited um, degree through like Peterson Academy for like less than $2,000.
That's badass.
Yeah, so you're like all these people who are going and paying, which myself included, but at least I got my
Yeah, dude,
shit
I,
paid
I
for.
did I did 3 years of school and
Yeah.
have nothing to show. So trust me. Thankfully, I went to UHD, which
Yeah,
is
me as well.
relatively
Yeah,
cheap. So
yeah.
I don't have a crazy amount of. Matter of fact, I could probably pay it off right now if I wanted to. I'm
Mhm.
just like
Yeah,
I just
but
let it.
it's like a super interesting like group of like subjects and
Hmm.
stuff that I'm like all like kind of interested in, like some philosophy, some psychology type stuff. There's like you've heard of like Brett Weinstein. Have you heard of him?
I
He's
have
like an
not.
evolutionary biologist. He's been on like Joe Rogan a couple times. He wrote a really interesting book called I think it's like the Hunter Gatherer's Guide to the 21st Century or something
Oh
like
shit!
that. Yeah, it's super interesting.
Have you read it?
I have it. I've been like reading it off and on.
Hmm.
I'm like so ADHD brain. I like bounce around from different things all the
Dude, I
time.
mean, I'm sure you can see all of my books.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I have books on the
yeah.
table,
Oh
I have
yeah,
books over there.
yeah.
I love reading
Uh-huh.
because I'm addicted to gaining knowledge.
Yeah, me too.
But only on the things that I care about,
Hmm.
which is a huge flaw of mine, or it might not be a flaw depending on how you look at it.
No, I
But
don't think so.
dude, I've just been accumulating so many books because, like you, I've been studying. So
Hmm.
like, I'm the type of person that I put all my energy into one avenue when
Hmm.
it's something that I have to do
Yeah,
per
yeah.
se.
Hmm.
So, dude, I've just been accumulating books, and I cannot wait to be done studying so I can
Me
just
too. Yeah,
fucking gain knowledge.
me
So,
too.
you spoke about being interested in things. What are you currently? What's piquing your interest at the moment?
Man, I've been kind of um getting into like stoicism.
Okay,
I really
I have the
like.
Daily Stoic over
Yeah.
there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Sick. Yeah,
or
Ryan Holiday,
it
man.
might actually be a. I have
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I've been like listening to meditations. I'm like I like reading, but a lot of times I listen to audiobooks and
Mhm.
stuff too. So I've been like listening to meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
What are you gaining
Um,
from it?
um,
Or what's your perspective of it?
my perspective of it, uh, I really like the thought of the directing mind,
Mhm.
what they talk about, and that's a big part of like stoicism is the directing mind
Yeah, of course.
of like you know you are basically in charge of how you feel and how you like adapt to things, and we are the soul like in control of like our emotions.
Mhm.
That's like a big thing of like what stoicism is, being like in control of you, how you react and how you react to people and your emotions. I think that I really like book 5 and book 6
Okay.
of meditations. um I'm kind of blanking right now about some of the stoicism stuff, but
I th- my main takeaways because I didn't do the Daily Stoic. I read the whole
you
fucking
read you
yeah
just read through it.
yeah
You just like binge knowledge,
yeah
like let's get
exactly
this, let's
yeah.
get it through.
I'm really weird about or not
Yeah.
weird. That's just what I do. Um, and the one thing that I related to most was the fact that uh, it might have been meditations where he's talking about you see the bee making honey, you see the birds building nests,
Yeah.
and they're happy as they can be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He said, and so what I took away from that, and I know I just butchered that. There's much more to that
Hmm.
that you guys can go look for if you want. But what I took away from that is like we all have something that we're meant to be doing,
Hmm.
right? Labor wise, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're working for someone, but there's some sort of purpose for each of us.
Hmm.
And I related to it because like when I'm floating, my dad likes to say when floating is what
Yeah.
he says about me.
Yeah.
Dude, my mental health goes to shit like everything goes to shit if I don't have something that I'm actively working towards.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I read that quote from Meditations, I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh,
So to clarify, I believe he said in the beginning of that, he said that um, whenever you wake up in the morning and you're reluctant to get up, think about like what your nature is, and do you like hate your nature? Are you
yeah.
Why are you reluctant to do a man's work? You see the birds and the bees and the ants and everything like
Hmm.
participating and doing their service to keep order and organization to the world. Why are you, you know,
Yeah.
why are you fighting that?
Hmm.
And that really, yeah, that really resonated with me as well. Um, and also another thing that resonated with me from that, I think it was in book 6 maybe, was that he talked about, are you not reasonable? Um, so why are you mad at, he used this example, it's kind of like archaic, but or why are you mad at this guy for smelling like a goat? You
Yeah.
know, is he not capable of reason? Do you not think that he's rational and capable of reason? Are you not rational and capable of
Hmm.
reason? Okay, well then talk to him about it. Tell him,
Hey man, you
and
smell like shit.
yeah,
Like,
hey, like, hey, you smell like, yeah, you smell like shit, dude.
yeah.
Like, we're all so afraid today to like, it's not even controversial. It's just like, hey, like, we can't be honest with each other.
Yeah. That's something that, you know, I kind of abuse,
Hmm.
right? Because I feel that I'm a very honest person,
Hmm.
and my honesty can be taken as malice.
Yeah,
Um, and so what'll happen
I think it's
is
about delivery. It's really about
it's
delivery.
huge, and
Yeah,
and that's what I was gonna get into is my delivery is often bad
yeah,
because I
okay.
go too honest.
Sometimes mine's pretty bad too. Just ask
And
Jesse.
what happens is I end up pushing people away because
Yeah.
because I speak my mind,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I'm like, if you're not willing to hear what I'm willing to say,
Yeah.
do I even need you around me?
Right.
You know?
And
But like you said, delivery is everything.
yeah,
I could soften things up a bit, but I feel like I have this inner moral compass that tells me if you aren't 100% honest, you're a liar.
yeah. And I keep, bringing up quotes from him, but he also said, and I really like this one, is that um, it is not the truth that hurts. It is your own it is your own persistence and your own self-deception that is what hurts. That's what hurts you. You continuing to lie to yourself,
Yep.
you know. So the
Oh,
honesty
dude.
and truth does not hurt. It's whenever you continue to keep this lie, you know.
I have some I need to say about that for sure. But so it's crazy that you say that. It's like almost like this conversation is meant to happen because I talk about this. I'm sure you've seen me talk about it on my Instagram.
Hmm.
Everyone knows what they need to do. That's the
Yeah.
thing,
Oh,
right?
sure. Yeah.
Like, you know,
Hmm.
my little sister Harley, she might watch this. Harley knows what she needs to do.
Hmm.
Most people just don't have the courage. And mind you, she's on a great track. So if you are watching this, you're doing great.
You're doing great.
Yeah, she's killing it.
Congratulations
Yeah,
too.
she's killing it. And she would always be like, "Well, I don't know what to do." And I'm like, "You do know what to do,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to diet, when it comes to some form of exercise. You have this internal being within
Yeah.
you that's
Hmm.
telling you, "Hey, that's wrong," or "Hey,
Yeah.
that's right."
Absolutely.
Mind you, it can get extrapolated on either ends. Like, it
Yes.
can become toxic
Hmm.
to where you don't want to eat any bad foods, or you're exercising too much.
Let's be
Um,
honest. A lot of times that doesn't
no, of course, that's a
happen.
special group of
Yeah.
people, and
Yeah.
that's when you get
Yeah.
eating disorders and. Anyways, but yeah, so that's something that I feel very strongly about is how people know what they need to do, and just like you said,
Hmm.
they continue that lie within their brain,
Hmm.
and you hear them.
I'm guilty of it.
Yeah, I'm guilty of it as well.
Yeah.
Like, my diet right now is terrible, and if I want to call myself a bodybuilder, my diet shouldn't be terrible. I should
Hmm.
be locked in,
Yeah.
you know, especially when I say I love it as much as I do.
Hmm.
And but the difference is just like we both just said, we're honest about it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
A lot of people will run from that. And that's
Yeah.
something that just drives me nuts. And
Yeah.
I like and it most of the time when I'm speaking to people about this, it's like, one, if I'm speaking to you about it, I care about you,
Yeah.
right? Because I don't always offer knowledge to folks that I don't care about,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like I just want to grab you and be like, you know what to
Yeah,
do.
you know,
Just
you
do it.
know.
But
Yeah.
yeah, man, another thing that like we talked about a few minutes ago from stoicism is like you're only in control of you.
Mhm.
You cannot worry about what everyone else is doing. It's just going to bring you stress, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure.
react accordingly. The one thing that I struggle so bad with, because I tried to practice it. Like I would subconsciously think about the stuff that I read, which mind you, Daily Stoic has Socrates, Marcus Aurelius, it has all these great philosophers.
Mhm.
And dude, the one thing that like I cannot seem to beat is my temper.
Yeah, I need
And
I'm that
and
way too. I'm definitely that
and
way
I
too.
I've been able to nullify it.
Mhm.
Like it's nowhere near where it used to be,
Yeah.
but I can't beat it. And I
Well,
hate using the word can't, but it's
I think, and maybe we romanticize um, the Stoics in a lot of ways because I mean, we talk about them, and of course, they wrote all this incredible,
absolutely.
advice or knowledge or philosophy for people to read and dissect for thousands of years later,
Mhm.
and I find it very doubtful that they were perfect.
There's no way.
It's a constant battle with yourself. It's a constant, you're constantly trying to improve. And as long as you are honest with yourself of like saying like, okay, I really am trying to be better about this. And it's just little victories. Like I think within yourself and trying to make real changes within yourself, I think that's probably one of the hardest things to do is
Absolutely.
to make real changes within your own behaviors whenever you are introspective enough to be able to see your own flaws.
Oh, dude, I have a perfect example of this that I learned from my psychology professor
Hmm.
in my freshman year of college.
Yeah.
Stuck with me forever. That's how much this clicked. And she was just like you said, it's really hard to break out of your
Habits.
habits,
Yeah.
basically,
Yep.
for lack of a better term. And it's because you got to think of your neural pathways like a highway, right?
Hmm.
The things that you've been doing forever.
Hmm.
So they went from, at one point, that was a dirt road,
Yeah.
right? And so from you just doing that thing forever, you built the highway,
It's
right?
Katy Freeway
It's
now.
Katy Freeway,
Yeah.
yeah. And so when you're trying to break a habit,
Hmm.
it's essentially like being on I-10 Katy Freeway and
Yeah.
going, no, I think I'm just gonna drive off into the grass that way,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
start creating a new path.
Hmm.
And hopefully this is the route that I'm gonna take,
That's a good
So
example.
it's really hard to leave the beaten path,
Yeah.
and create new neural pathways, but it's possible,
It's
right?
possible. It just takes work.
It takes time, work,
Hmm.
and effort too, right? Like,
Conscious effort.
yeah, and it's just like fitness, like you can't you can't do it for one day and then stop for two and then do it for
No.
three and stop for four.
It's consistency. Yeah.
It's consistency with everything. But yeah, that's I feel like I'm very conscious of my flaws, but like we said, I am very victim to like looking at the writing on the wall and going and just ignoring it
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
So
It's like I said, it's just it's a constant effort. It's a constant battle. I feel like as long as you are recognizing that and making a conscious effort to work on it, then I mean you're at least abiding by
mhm,
that philosophy.
of course.
It's just it's not always easy, and I will say that probably in that era there's just so much less distraction. Like in the time that
Yeah.
we live in now, there's so much distraction,
Mhm.
that it's so hard for people just in general to be able to focus on like one thing or just to focus on themselves. There's a million different
Yeah.
things going on, all these different distractions. And it's like, people and I kind of circling back to what you said about like people know what to do. I don't think that that's always the case because I feel like people are so distracted that maybe they just don't know what to do.
There
They
are
don't know what their purpose is. So they're just kind of like,
I don't even know my purpose.
yeah, yeah. So it's like, And a lot of philosophy says that a key to happiness is finding your purpose.
Mhm,
Really being rooted in that cause,
mhm.
and I feel like it's just incredibly difficult for people, especially if you like lack faith and stuff
Of
too.
course.
It's really hard for people to find like purpose, and there's a lot of room for nihilistic behavior in a lot of the society that we've created, especially with you know the whole anti like religious movement that has happened in the 21st century.
So, with that being said, and we'll circle back to politics just for this one bit.
Okay.
Um, do you think the fact that Kamala Harris essentially denounced God in front of a crowd had any sort of impact on her losing of the election?
I think that her entire campaign was just a
Garbage,
disaster, but um,
but that's neither
I,
here
I
nor
I
there.
think that that was probably a hit, maybe not as big as you might think,
Mhm.
in my opinion, because she was never like the a Christian champion by any
Yeah.
means. She never sold herself as that,
Mhm.
and a lot of the left wing ideology is totally against any of that
Of course.
anyway. They're not really. I mean, not to say that there's just no Democrat or left wing person that's a Christian, because of course that's obviously not going to be true.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as like their perspective with politics and stuff, and the whole, I don't even want to get into the transgender,
Yeah.
all that kind of crazy stuff. But
Yeah.
I mean, clearly she's not like a champion for Christianity
Yeah.
by any means. So the people who already supported her, I doubt that it had,
Yeah.
that much effect. I mean, that only just reaffirmed every right winger's hate towards her.
Yeah.
It just fed the vitriol even more. I don't think that it was a weird response, honestly. Like if you're running
Yeah.
a political campaign and you're gonna like say like, oh, like what did she say? Like, oh, the Trump rallies down that or
No,
something,
she said
whatever.
you're at the wrong
You're at the
rally.
wrong rally. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Even Obama they showed a clip.
Uh,
See, and that's the
that
thing,
that was that was a bad
like
one,
like Rogan. So Rogan, which everyone knows Rogan,
of course.
made a really good point about the campaign, and this will probably be the last thing we talk about because people fucking hate politics.
Hmm.
Um,
I love it,
I love it
honestly. I
too.
love it,
I get too engulfed.
honestly.
But Rogan made a really good point. He's like, in this day and age of the internet age and social media age, you can't be a liar,
No, you
right?
can't. You
Especially
can't.
when
It's
you're
gonna come out.
yeah, when you're running a campaign. And he cited a video that I actually saw on both Instagram and TikTok. I think I even saw it on Twitter, where they just like showed all of her rallies and her speech was the exact same.
Yeah, like,
Right.
oh, I'm from a middle class family.
Yeah,
Like, dude, she
and
said that like hundreds of times.
yeah,
Like in every interview.
and I think people just have this internal feeling within them when they can tell someone's bullshitting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah. Anyways, ah man. So we're talking about like people being distracted
Hmm.
and things like that. What would be your ideal end goal, perfect happy life for Tristan? What
And
when I say that, what picture is like built in your mind? I have one for me, but I'll let you tell yours.
I I want like maybe I want to be like a little isolated, but I just picture like, my dream home is like just a big ranch
Yep.
and like far away from like everybody. I've got everything, the people that I love, close by.
Hmm.
I've got a beautiful family, hopefully with Josie.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm just hopefully at that point, because I want to get into like homesteading almost in a way, like
Yeah.
of just being able to
Amanda
produce
and
my
I want
own
to do that
stuff.
as well.
You
Her a
know,
little more than me, like animal wise,
as
because
far as animal.
I have I have negative experience with animals, and she did FFA
Okay,
for all 4 years of
okay.
high school. But
Well,
continue what you're saying.
yeah, no, I mean, perfect scenario. You have a big, beautiful home on a ranch somewhere, you know, kind of away from everybody except for, the people that I love, of course.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm kind of simple, man. That's all I want. I want to be able to, read and engage in the things that I want to
Mhm.
do, the things that I'm interested in, and just have the people that I love close by. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that is, and of course, a close and better relationship with God.
Of course.
And I
Of
think that
course.
that is, I think that that's the most that I could ever hope for.
So I have
You
two
know.
things. One before I get into my perfect in life. So Harley's baptism really opened my eyes
Hmm.
to a lot of things because I've never been baptized. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
I am a Christian. I pray. I
Hmm.
read scripture.
Yeah.
But just with the nature of my being,
Yeah.
one, I know I'm flawed, and that's part of being a Christian is
Sure.
understanding that you're you're rotten, like John Jones said in that interview.
Hmm.
Like we're all rotten. Like we're
We
able
are.
to sin.
Our natural tendencies are
Yeah.
so
And
they're just not
so
good.
I'm like, dude, I want to get baptized, but I feel like if I did it right now, I would be a fraud because I'm not um at a point spiritually where I think I would be ready. And so that dude, I've been chewing on that for the past 3 weeks.
You know, and
Like I
I
feel
don't want to because a lot of people feel really weird about like faith and stuff.
Mhm.
So I don't want to like I'm not like trying to push anything on you
No,
or
no.
anything at
And I mean
all. So I
like
don't want you to feel that way. But I don't feel like that there's not like a designated time to do it.
yeah, exactly.
And like you you probably know like that Josie is incredibly spiritual. You know
Of
that she
course.
hasn't been baptized.
Really?
Sorry to air that for you. Hopefully that I'm not like
I
getting in
didn't
trouble right now.
I didn't know that.
but she said that she feels the same way. She
Yeah.
like, but she's like, I
And
mean,
dude,
she
she's one of
she
the
she
most
helps me like be more
she's one of
spiritual.
the
She literally saved me. She brought me back.
Mhm.
I was agnostic for a while.
Mhm.
Um, I was hanging around, people who kind of lean that way. I didn't really have like a super, religious upbringing.
Mhm.
I didn't go to the church for the first time until I was like 13 or something
Mhm.
like that. So, I mean, it's not like if my mom ever watches this, I'm not talking bad about you, I promise.
Yeah.
I mean, she's kind of religious and reserved in her own ways.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, I didn't have a super religious upbringing, and just around the people that I was surrounding myself with, they were all like I was basically feeding off of that,
Of
and
course.
I wasn't sure if I really ever believed what they had imposed on me, which I don't want to put that blame on them. It was entirely my choice
Of course.
to believe what I believed for that amount of time. But I mean, she saved me. I had like you know a moment where
Oh,
she
dude.
brought me to New Hope,
Yeah.
and I had a moment. Yeah, I struggled with a relationship with my biological father
Yeah.
for a long time. I held a lot of hate and resentment towards him,
Yeah.
and it was funny. My first time going back to church in like years was literally all about that.
Yeah.
Just all I was like, whoa.
Dude, see
That was like, whoa, that is crazy.
that's
I was like in tears. I was in tears in church. I'm not a huge like emotional person.
yeah.
I don't cry. I really don't. Like even whenever I'm like sad, I'm like, push that
Dude,
down.
I
Like, push that down. Get down there.
yeah.
Don't be gay.
Dude, I'm the same way. Like this one, like obviously to tell when we're recording this, like my little brother, as most of you that are gonna watch this know, was a stillbirth, and today is his birthday. So obviously today brings a lot of
Yes.
pain and
Hmm.
and sadness and stuff. So this morning I was pretty bad off.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
as and it's been 9 years, and it's weird. Like mourning
Yeah.
things is the strangest. I almost akin it to what's it called? Dude, why am I drawing a blank? Whenever you see nostalgia, like it
Okay.
almost it
Yeah.
almost feels the same way as nostalgia, and so like it kind of like when things like this happen, it kind of brings you back to how you felt then. But the reason I bring that up is because I was the same way. Like
Hmm.
I was kind of questionable in my faith,
Yeah.
especially after Zane. It's just, I mean, it's just like multiple times in scripture, like,
Yeah.
people speaking on, and I wish, see, this is another reason why I feel like I'd be a fraud, because like I can't quote, like, just me
Dude,
being
I'm
a knowledge nerd.
it's part of it, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
and
we all have to get like if we all sorry to cut you off. We
no,
all have to like get better at it. I mean,
yeah,
it's something that, as Christians, we're like you said, we're all flawed
yeah,
and we all have to work better and harder at it. And I mean, I consider myself a Christian, but it's not like I can't quote scripture. I
yeah,
mean, I get the feeling of being a fraud and stuff, but I mean, I think the best advice that I can give you is just take the leap. I mean,
yeah, of course.
that's what
And
you
and I
need to
and I
do.
need to. I feel like that'll bring me inner peace.
Hmm.
But yeah, so like I was saying, like when Zane passed away, it was kind of like a,
Yeah,
like
I get that.
like
Yeah.
why, and
Hmm.
so for those like years after it happened, I was like spiritually in a place I'm like, nah,
Hmm.
there's no way that this is a benevolent God, like,
Hmm.
but you have to take yourself out of it,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
looking back, that alone made me 1,000 times stronger than, so that alone made me 1,000 times stronger than any other event in my life. So
Yeah.
right, so you can see where I'm at,
Yeah.
when my little brother is full term,
Hmm.
literally gonna be born on the same week as me. I'm
That's
16
wild.
years old.
Yeah.
I'm in a very formidable brain time period.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
And so my faith just gets all out of whack,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Well, uh, what was it? Daxton was born in 2009, 18, 18, 19. I can't. I mean, I'm terrible for not knowing
I
my
mean,
little brother's
I couldn't tell you, I'm
birthday.
sorry.
Anyways, 4 years later,
Hmm.
um, yes, 19. Uh, and he has the same exact thing that killed Zane.
Mm.
And it still kind of like chokes me up a little bit, but that was like, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
there's no way
Yeah.
he's supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
So then I was like, all right,
Yeah.
let me,
Yeah.
like, there's God, and then
Mhm.
from that, like, dude, I had been to like church camps and stuff, and I felt like there, like you said, there's that feeling,
Yeah.
and I felt that, but then when that happened, one, like I said, I was in a formidable time,
Mhm.
and so, but when Daxton was born, I was like, whoo. So like ever since,
Praise praise be.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I remember I was sitting in the lobby just fucking crying, and
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? But then like like
Yeah.
like you said, like,
Yeah.
you want to be this tough guy.
Mhm. Oh, of
Oh,
course.
dude, I one of my, like, man, I'm airing this out too. Like, biggest flaws, like, I didn't cry at Zane's funeral
Mhm.
because I felt like I needed to be strong.
I mean, dude, as like as a developing like teenage male, it's like, okay, yeah, that's no surprise. I mean,
Yeah.
I would have probably been the exact same way of like, oh, I got to be strong for,
Yeah, dude, it's
the people around me and everything, and the people that I got to be. And maybe that's I guess a flaw that we have as males too
yeah.
is that we don't let ourselves feel those things, but I don't know.
But don't
I
get me
mean,
wrong. Don't get me wrong. And I still I'm still thinking of my perfect end, so I
mhm.
didn't forget about that.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But we talked about this in my group message not too long ago. Like, is there ever a time where you just like let yourself, like, maybe when you're alone?
Hmm.
Like we talked about, like, sometimes we'll play like sad music, or like, I know I've watched, I love movies.
Hmm.
So I know I've watched like a sad movie, like, to purposely induce,
To get those
because dude, it's
emotions
almost
to come
it's
up.
almost like,
Yeah.
have you ever done that?
Oh, dude. I mean, I yeah. It's a lot of times it comes out of me and like, and this is a big flaw of mine. It comes out of me in like pretty unhealthy ways.
Yeah.
Honestly, like just one day I'll I'll have the best day before. I'll have the best day, and then like the next day, I'm like, dude, fuck this. Like
Oh, the rain cloud.
I hate my life.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is, and like I'm sitting here laughing about it. People are like, dude, this guy's a psychopath.
No, dude. But what's
Like,
crazy is like more of us relate because I the same thing happens to me.
like, and it comes out of nowhere. I don't understand what it is, but like, just there'll just be like a day where I'm like, dude, none of this makes sense. Like I I don't know where I went wrong. Like everything is just like it's no good thoughts happened that day.
Yeah.
No good thoughts happened that day, and it's just like, and Josie kind of asked me sometimes. She's like, well, why are you feeling like that? I was like, dude, I don't
don't know.
I have no clue,
Dude,
I don't know. Like it's just like this feeling of like sometimes it just overwhelms me. I don't know what it is, but it's like a feeling of like insignificance, like
Yeah.
not doing enough, or like I just made like, or all the mistakes that I made just hit me all at once, and I'm like, Jesus, like why is this happening to me right
yeah,
now,
dude.
bro?
It's man, and I think it's because just as men, like you said, we tend to suppress our emotion,
Yeah,
and which is extremely
and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty bad about it.
extremely unhealthy,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, like, when I feel like my definition to wrap what we were just talking about before I tell you my ideal end goal, which is
Okay,
very
yeah.
similar to yours.
Mhm.
I feel like as a man, for centuries,
Mhm.
the man is the pillar, right? You should be, and this is my opinion. You guys out there that are listening to this can have your own,
Mhm.
but I feel like you should be someone that everyone feels like they can lean on because
Mhm.
you're strong enough to weather the storm, right?
Yes,
That's
yes.
that's the patriarch of the family, the man,
Mhm.
right? And so I think we often misconstrue that and go, "Oh, I can't have any emotions.
Yeah,
I have to be
yeah.
because if my family sees me being weak, how are they gonna feel?"
Yeah, and I guess that's also just one quick loop back to Stoicism is that there's a big misconception there that like the Stoics just like you hear about Stoic and it's like, oh, stone face, like they don't let like
Which is not true.
no, it's not true. Like, they allowed themselves to feel joy, they would feel happy, I think,
Mhm,
some of them even talked about like dancing and joy and stuff
mhm.
like that. But like there's like a level of control with it too. Like it's just more about being in control of like your natural tendencies and natural reactions to
Absolutely.
things and just be more thoughtful about those things. So just to wrap that thought up.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, my ideal end goal, and I know that was probably like 10 minutes ago by now,
This is
but
big loop around
yeah,
that
of
in,
course, I'm
dude.
pulling a Trump,
Yeah,
the
the
weave,
weave,
the
yeah,
weave,
the
dude.
weave.
But like my ideal end goal is very, very similar to yours. Like I would like to be left alone,
Hmm.
and it's crazy that I say this because I get to a point where I almost crave human interaction.
Yeah, I
And
get
I
that.
think
Yeah.
that's just a natural social thing for humans. So like I
Hmm.
do want to be left alone per se where I live.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and I do want acreage and I do want animals, but I also I need like a really nice gym like
Oh yeah.
in
Of
my
course.
like dude that is
Of course.
I know I said I don't know my purpose, but I do know what makes me happy. And one of the things that makes me extremely happy, and I don't know if it's because I've just always been in some sort of sport or physical activity my
Hmm.
entire life. Um, doing that keeps me sane.
Yeah.
When I'm sad, gym or run or whatever I'm doing at the time,
Some kind of
some
physical.
kind of
Yeah.
physical exertion.
Yes.
When I'm happy, same thing. When I'm mad, same thing. When like all those things kind of reel me back in.
Hmm.
So I have to have that. Like so like my ideal end goal obviously have a family with Amanda, big house because that's what she wants. I could have a fucking shack, just
Yeah.
leave me alone,
Right. Yeah.
Have give me a gym, but acreage, animals, things like that. Just somewhere where we can be us, where we can,
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about
Yeah. No,
big
I get
brother,
that. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Big brother, dude. Have some privacy, like
Yeah.
be kind of like away from a lot of that.
Hmm.
Yeah, somewhere that when the world ends, I can hold
Yeah,
down the fort for
I
a
feel
while.
like
Like
I do want to. I also want way more guns. I don't. I feel like I don't have enough
no,
right now.
I feel that way too. I'm like in the process of like starting a collection. I mean, he's gonna laugh at me. I got a handgun, but my dad actually just told me that like I'm about to get like a bunch of hand-me-downs, so I'm like pretty
That's awesome.
stoked about that.
Oh,
Like,
that's like Mason,
yeah,
dude. When Mason's grandpa was his grandpa who passed away, dude gave him like a fucking armory, dude.
yeah. No, I think I got that.
And
I think I got that coming. my
jealousy
way,
is something that I
so.
don't often feel, but when he showed me, like, sent me videos and pictures of all the guns that he got, mind you, he brought them to the
Whoa.
ranch one time and let us shoot all of them. I was like,
Yeah,
this is fucking awesome.
yeah,
It might have
yeah.
been his uncle. Anyways, a family member to Mason gave him all his guns. But yeah, I feel like we're in a really that brings up another topic. Not just America, but do you feel like the world is in a good place right
No,
now?
no, absolutely not. And people might even think that I'm, I don't know, anti-American for like having this perspective, but I think it's a lot of our fault. I think it is.
In what way?
So the U.S. Ever since like World War I, has had this crazy interventionist perspective on war, where our founding fathers did not have that. That was not our intention. We should be a world leader through diplomacy and commerce.
Of course.
We instead have this interventionist perspective on war, where we have to get involved in every single conflict that there ever is. And I mean, there's evidence of this. I mean, we did not have to get involved in World War One.
The one that pisses me off is Vietnam.
We did not have to get involved in World War Two, and people that's pretty controversial now. But if you listen to like some like the historian like podcasts and stuff that I listen to, it's super eye opening. So just educate yourself before you start judging me.
No.
But if you just do some reading, do some research, and you'll find that we are so just getting our fingers in every single conflict that there ever is, and it's like, dude, chill out. Like, we considered, whenever Bill Clinton was in office, we considered that a time of peace, and we were bombing the shit out of like Iraq and stuff like that, and like just doing all kinds of like, I mean, just straight up like war crimes type stuff. And I feel like people, because we are the most propagandized country,
Absolutely.
like, and it works so good because almost none of us know it. I mean, I think it's a little bit more apparent now,
Oh yeah,
but
people are I hate saying waking up, but people are definitely starting to recognize.
people are waking up to it. I think it's because of like the advent of podcasts.
Yeah.
Different sources,
Non-traditional media.
non-traditional media, non-legacy media,
Mm-hmm.
and but like I said, just to kind of circle back to that point of we need to adopt a more non-interventionist perspective, not isolationist, because once you start arguing that point, that's what the other side says, like, oh, you just want to be an isolationist, you want to leave all these people, like, no, like,
No.
lead through commerce and diplomacy, not regime changes, overthrowing other countries and installing another leader. And it totally failed because that's what we did with Iraq. We took out Saddam Hussein, and Iraq is way worse off now than what it was before we got involved.
Oh, have you ever looked at?
Syria is with Bashar al-Assad, Obama. Like, people don't talk about this. Obama was like a horrible war criminal. He dropped way more drone strikes
Dude,
than
than
Trump
anyone.
ever could have thought of. And he got us involved in like he got us into Syria, Libya, Yemen. Some I'm probably missing some, but unconstitutionally,
Absolutely.
started all these different conflicts with these different, Arab, Muslim, countries in the Middle East. And we're all just like, yeah, bomb them. They hate us because of our freedom. And it's like, no, they hate us because we're bombing the shit out
Yeah,
of them.
because we're killing all
Like,
of
we're
them.
like killing them. And
Yeah.
you ask like a random villager in Syria with like, oh, like, do you know? They don't know who you are. They don't know
No.
what New York City is. They don't know what any of this
No,
shit
they
is.
can't.
Like,
Yeah, they lie to us
they're
big
like,
time.
so we're so lied to, and we are so propagandized to think that we need to be involved in all this shit. And it's like, no, like, let's stop. Like, stop doing this. We like, do you know like about like how we got involved like with Ukraine and stuff, and how we were like at the
I
verge of a
think
peace treaty? Like they were at verge of peace, and then uh, Joe Biden literally like I forget the ambassador's name, but he literally like told I think it's Boris Johnson. Um,
Boris for the UK.
I'm not sure, but basically like said like, hey, like no, like tear up that treaty,
Well,
uh,
because
and
what does war do?
it's a
Boost
money machine.
boost economy.
It's
Yeah,
a money machine.
it's
That's what it
crazy.
is.
Yeah, it's crazy how the not even to make it political, but it's crazy how the party shift
Yeah,
has changed.
yeah.
But yeah, man, I feel like
Sorry for going on that rant.
no, no, dude, this is what the podcast is
See,
about, dude.
yeah.
But do you think that it's the reason it's gotten that way is not from a place of just being in like involved in everything, but in my head, my brain immediately goes to, in which I'm not a world leader, so I could be miles wrong,
Hmm.
but I feel like there's always been this sort of like we have to prevent the red wave at the time or whatever. We have to prevent them from.
Which I'm pretty sure that turned out to be bullshit, by the
Yeah,
way. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, do you think it comes inherently from malice? Like, do you think my dad's
No,
term he likes to use
I don't think
is
so.
we're bullies? I don't think it's that way.
I don't think it's that way. I don't think that it's I I don't believe that people are I mean it could be, but I don't want to believe that people that we're just that evil.
I
You
don't
know,
think
I
so.
don't think so. I think it's literally a business. It's a business.
Yeah,
I mean,
there would be no Lockheed Martin.
no,
There would
there would be
be
no Boeing, you
yeah.
know. I mean, so that's what it is. That's what I think it is. Is like
Yeah.
no, we're a capitalistic
I
country,
think
and
capitalism, which I love capitalism,
mhm,
but I think it has gotten to an extreme end. And
yeah,
I had this thought um when I was picking up Pat from his doctor's appointment.
mhm,
I was like, dude, isn't it crazy how we should really be doing this for free, right?
mhm,
Helping healing people.
yeah,
But it has turned into the other than uh the military industrial complex, it has turned into the biggest industry in the world.
yeah. The medical industry. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Like
and
how fucked up is that? Like
it's fucked.
I
It's
feel
fucked.
like that should be something that should be rendered for free.
Yeah, I
Not necessarily, but I do see the point of not having free health care,
mhm,
right? Because as human beings, I feel like we work harder for incentives,
yeah,
right? So why not make it to where the best doctors can make the most money?
sure, yeah.
So I'm kind of on the fence about both ways, but I did have that profound thought where I was like, wow.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is that we're not like truly in a free market type of capitalism, and
No
there's
way.
like a lot of different disguises of monopolies in the country as far as like big corporate America. You know, you if you've been paying attention, the BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, these big corporations that own fucking
Dude,
everything.
someone's going to knock on both our doors
Yeah,
now.
no, dude. I'm gonna, like, hey,
Yeah,
I
shut the
heard
fuck
you
up.
was talking about this, like,
Yeah.
but uh, as far as like the medical industry goes, um, like, I don't know how closely you followed any of this stuff, as far as um, like with RFK talking about Callie and Casey Means whenever he gave that speech, his speech
I'm a big
whenever
fan
he
of
was
him, but I
endorsing Trump. Um, so he talked about Callie and Casey Means. It's a really eye-opening podcast that you should go listen to
mhm.
with Tucker Carlson. He interviewed Callie and Casey Means. Casey Means, she was I think ear, nose, and throat like surgeon or something like that.
Mhm.
And she basically like rejected it all. Like saw like through all of the like how reductionist our medical practices in in the Western world.
Yeah.
Maybe not even the Western world, in the United States specifically. Like you look, you have like all these specialists. It's
Mhm.
like, well, how about we start looking at the body like as a whole, and not like give this drug for this specific thing that you have going on in your
Yeah, and
body.
you don't realize that it's hurting all
Yeah, and
the
then
other.
yeah, exactly. Like no, like the body as a whole, it communicates and it talks to each other.
Mhm.
Like all the different parts of your body, you have like so anyway. Um, the pharmaceutical companies like back like all of the
Mhm.
like medical schools and shit. Like I don't, that was like another thing that she talked about in that podcast. But I don't want to discredit or say or not discredit, but just say things that I'm not entirely sure about with that. But
Yeah.
it's really eye opening. You should go and listen to it because it's really like holy shit. Like this is exactly what's wrong with our
Yeah.
like the medical system.
Dude, and
You
I
know.
think it's just like I was saying, I think it has stemmed from money. Like
Oh, absolutely. I think so.
we started like
It's the root of all evil,
dude, one doctor on the freaking Wild West got paid like a few more bucks than the other one. He goes,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
"Oh
Oh,
shit,"
yep.
But
This snake oil is better.
yeah,
My snake oil is
my
better.
snake oil is just a
Yeah.
little bit better.
Yeah.
And then people started believing him, and it just snowballed.
Yeah, yeah.
But man, it
It'd
hasn't.
be interesting to know like where it actually started. I couldn't say, but I would venture to say that a lot of this stuff with like lobbyists and special interest
Mhm.
groups and appointing certain people into like these top positions and then just buying out like all these medical schools or all these pharmaceutical companies or whatever. You
Mhm.
know, it's crazy. It's crazy how deep it probably goes.
Oh, dude, I mean, and we could go on forever, but there's a guy on social media. I cannot think of his name right now, but his like sole purpose of his account is to like air out how corrupt BlackRock, State
Mm.
Street, all of them are.
Hmm.
And I watched this one video, and I'll find it later so you can watch it. It's kind of confusing, but he made a flow chart that basically showed that they own everything.
Yeah.
And if it looks like one of them doesn't own something, that's not the truth because they also have shell companies, they
Hmm.
also have other things like this. But here's how they make it even deeper is they all own each other. So they inherently
It's like oh
all
wow.
own everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the scariest thing about BlackRock, and I know this is going way far from what we were just talking about, but the scariest thing about BlackRock is they have like a home, like a housing plan
Hmm.
where they want to own like a large percentage of all of the housing.
Of all the real estate, yeah, they're just buying up tons of real
Yeah,
estate.
and that's not good.
No, it's horrible. I mean, it's making it to where people can't buy homes,
Yeah.
you know?
One thing that I need to read more into this before I decide whether or not I have a negative or a positive stance on this, but Trump had a really big statement in one of his videos that he's posted recently. He was talking about how they're going to start using uh, government owned land to build new cities. Like it'll be
Mhm.
the first time we add a new city in the United States in like a long time.
That's wow.
And I'm like, are these national parks? Are these just
Yeah,
plots of land?
I
Like,
don't know.
so I would like to, in the coming weeks, inauguration's the 6th of January, but I would like to see how that pans out because if
Yeah.
you're taking land from national, like I, I really like RFK because he's all about preserving what we have.
Mhm.
Um, but if you're taking from what we have to make homes, I'm not for it.
Yeah, I don't agree with like, if you're if that's truly what it is about like which I it's hard for me to believe that it would be that, they're going to start tearing down like national
I
parks or
don't
like
think they will.
national forests or something like that
Mhm.
to like build cities. That'd be something I'm totally against.
Yeah, he said
Um,
it's gonna create something like two or three cities like it's wild. It's a really bold claim.
Yeah, it is. I don't. I'm not really sure. I don't know much about it,
Yeah,
so I'm kind of
I would like to
in the
hear
same boat
more.
with you. I
Yeah.
would need to know more about that before I.
Another thing to circle back to the because we're running a little low on time.
Okay.
Um, but one final thing. We're talking about
doctors and stuff like that.
Hmm.
One thing that I just cannot get behind that people say all the time, everyone's favorite thing to say is there's already a cure to cancer. They don't want you to have it because there's money in the business. I don't know a single human being that can willingly let someone die knowing that they could help them, especially someone who's a doctor.
Yeah.
So I can't subscribe to that. Like,
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Um, I don't know how much of that I really believe.
mm.
Um, I don't see like why they wouldn't have come out with it yet if it's really like a thing. Um,
And I
I
think,
will say that the pharmaceutical industry uh is pretty dirty. You know,
fuck
it's
yeah,
you know the
dude, fentanyl was
yeah
created to be an alternative to like OxyContin,
yeah uh-huh
and it ended up being like 5 times as strong
yeah
or 10
it's
times as
horrible.
strong
Oh yeah.
and way more addictive. And
Hmm.
their original purpose was to make it less addictive than OxyContin.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and
yeah, so
it's like way stronger. Yeah,
yeah,
it's like
it kills so many people.
yeah, yeah.
But anyways, we've had a really good conversation, and I know we could go way longer, but we're
Oh
into the
yeah,
last
sure.
3 minutes of our hour and a half.
Okay.
Um, I don't know how many of my podcasts you've watched. It doesn't matter if you've watched a single one, but how I like to end these things is one simple question, and you can answer this however you want. And my thing that I ask every single guest is if you could leave someone who's watching this video with some sort of message, whether it be funny, happy, sad, whatever, if you could leave someone watching this with a message, what would your message to the audience be?
um, I would say, you know, and I'm gonna maybe bring some memory back to some folks who saw these videos in high school or whenever you saw them, whatever age group was watching it. Remember the Shia LaBeouf video?
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just do it.
Yep.
Just do it. Do the thing. Whatever it is. Just do it. Just just
Dude, we clicked on
fucking
that.
do
We
it.
clicked on that as soon as you said Shia LaBeouf. I was like,
Dude,
I know where he's going.
it's funny because I like it popped up in my reels and like I looked at the comment section and people were just like, man, you know, he was really trying to tell us. He was really trying to tell us and look at where we are now, you know?
Yep.
So just do it. Just do it. Whatever it is.
Sweet.
Just fucking do it.
Sweet. Well, Tristan, you've been a fucking awesome guest. I feel like we
Appreciate
had
it, man.
a really good conversation. I hope each and every one of you that's watching this has stuck around to the end because it's been about an hour and a half, maybe little less than an hour and a half. But I appreciate all of you sticking around, listen to what we had to yap about, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.